Hi, I'm Ethan Evans. I'm the school librarian, and I'd like to present my budget request for money to purchase a classroom-sized set of graphic novels, specifically the title "Nothing Could Possibly Go Wrong" by Prudence Shen. The reason that I'm asking for this is because I have English teachers every year coming and asking me for recommendations for their transition classes, the classes that are the students that are not necessarily greatly skilled in English and need some extra work to move forward into the traditional grade level classes. And usually there are freshman transition classes, sophomore transition classes, and junior transition classes. And I'm going to focus primarily on freshman transition classes here. But what I'd like to talk about is usually these teachers come and they ask me for recommendations, and I'm able to give them some. But traditionally, what they ask me for is a book or set of books that's lower level because these are students who maybe aren't necessarily at higher reading levels and things of that nature. And a lot of times, it's a hard thing to figure out because most of the time a lower level book is going to be for a younger age level. So, you know, to find a book like a high schooler might be on a sixth grade reading level, perhaps a transition student, and so I'm going to have to try to find something at a middle school level, and that doesn't necessarily mean that that student's going to be interested in whatever that book's about. So one thing that I've been trying to kind of push is the use of graphic novels for some of these classes, specifically graphic adaptations of classic works, because a lot of times classic works are very large, or Shakespeare is sometimes it's difficult to get through for anybody, and transition students most of the time don't have even less interest than students in other classes. So what I've kind of been trying to push is graphic novels, and unfortunately, graphic novels have kind of a stigma about them that they're strictly superhero comics, which isn't really the case anymore. And besides that, graphic novels these days are written by authors of all kinds. They tell stories of all kinds, and they still require skills that these students need, English skills these students need, the ability to process, the ability to follow the flow of a story, to break down things, to see dialogue, and to see how characters interact. And the visual representation often helps with those kind of bridge building activities that they need to do. And like most is like I said, there's a lot of graphic novels these days being written that aren't strictly just superhero stories. Even though there are really good superhero stories being written, there's also just contemporary fiction type graphic novels being written about kids in high school, and Nothing Could Possibly Go Wrong is a story that's like that. So what I'm proposing that we do is that the school budget gives me access to funds to purchase a classroom set of Nothing Could Possibly Go Wrong, and I use them with my book club, which is a voluntary club. We read a book every month, and then we get together and we podcast and we talk about it. And I'd like to use Nothing Can Possibly Go Wrong as one of those books for my kids, and do a little bit more work than I traditionally do with just the podcast. I will podcast with them about it, but also kind of do some formative assessment, going through talking about differences between reading graphic novels and reading traditional novels, and what they like and what they don't like about that, before getting together after having completed it and talking about it in a podcast that people can then listen to. And I think that will give administration and teachers really good feedback on what students think about those novels, and whether or not that's something that classes could use going forward. And the good thing is that those books will then be available for teachers to check out going forward, and maybe even convince us to buy some more classroom sets of graphic novels that transition teachers, or just regular English teachers or regular English classes can use going forward. So that's what I'm proposing, and I hope you'll consider it. Thank you.